Hi everyone, today we are going to take a look at music of Korea. Just to quickly review what we've done so far, we started in Africa and we visited several countries in Africa to explore the music there. Then we jumped up to Ireland and studied some music in Ireland. Next we popped over to Mexico. That was last week. And now we're all the way over here in Asia looking at Korea. So if we zoom in on this section of the map a little bit, you can see a little bit better of the geography of what it looks like. So now we have Korea split into North Korea and South Korea. So when we take a look at the traditional music, that was before they split. So that was from both regions, and then when we look at the popular music, that is going to all be from South Korea. But I think it's important to keep in mind the geography of where this is located. So it's right in between China and Japan, and that's going to be important in a moment to see some of the influences in the traditional music. So we're going to start by taking a look at traditional music. Two types of music here. The first is what's called shaman music. And so this comes actually from a religion that was very popular in Korea called shamanism. And in that religion, the shaman is like the leader and the healer. So these are a lot of traditional. This is a lot of traditional music. There's dancing. You get to hear some traditional instruments. And that's what this first video is up here. And you don't have to watch the whole thing. I think it's like 8 minutes long, but maybe watch a little bit of the beginning and then fast forward to the end because it kind of picks up at the end. And I actually really enjoyed. I did watch the whole thing, and it was kind of neat to see the dancing. They have some bells and fans and some different things that they were doing there with the motion, and then you do get to hear both instruments and singing in that example. So go ahead and pause and take a look at that example. And again, remember, this slide is available in the Google Classroom so you can watch these videos. And then the next type of music is called court instrumental music. And this is where that geography is going to come into play, because a lot of traditional Korean music was influenced by Chinese culture. You saw it was right next to China. And so a lot of the Chinese music influenced the Korean traditional music. And the reason that's so important is that today, Korea continues to train musicians on these ancient instruments, while China doesn't do that as much. And so a lot of these traditions have been preserved in Korea, even though they've fallen away in China. So that's a really important thing to note. And this is an example of a traditional Korean instrument. I'm sure I'm going to say it wrong. I did look up a pronunciation video online, and they said ajaeng, but I'm sure it's not exactly that. But another way of saying that is it's a bowed zither. And when you take a look at this, you'll notice some similarities between the traditional string instruments that we would think about here in America. Think of like a violin. So it does have a bridge, which is supporting the strings, and they do use a bow, but there is a difference. There aren't strings on the bow. Their bow is actually just a stick, which is kind of interesting. And it has a very neat sound, so I want you to take a look at this video. So go ahead and pause and watch this video of the bowed zither. All right, and then last on the traditional music, I just wanted you to have a chance to see a lot of these instruments together. And so here's a picture of some of the different Korean traditional instruments. Okay, and many of those are reflected here in this video. Again, this is a very long video. I think it's like an hour and a half, but I really enjoyed it. You could almost put this on as music while you're doing your homework today. It's really peaceful, very relaxing, and definitely different types of instruments than we're used to seeing, but I think that it's a really neat thing to explore. So go ahead and pause and either watch a little bit of the beginning or skip to the middle. Find it just a section to watch. Okay, now we're going to jump to the popular music, which is commonly called K-pop. And I have a feeling many of you are probably experts on this topic more than I am, so you might even be able to teach me something when we do our Google document later. But so Korean pop music, we're going to take a look at some of the older stuff and then some of the newer things as well. So we're going to start over here with this video on the left. And this was one of the earliest K-pop groups, what's considered the earliest K-pop groups, and they were formed in the early 90s, I believe 1992. And so I want you to take a look at this video. If you know anything about the 90s, this video screams 90s with the way that they're dressed, the visual effects in the video, and I really enjoyed listening to it. This was like the original K-pop boy band. And of course, like every boy band, they're singing about a girl. So take a look at that, even though we can't understand what they're saying unless you're fluent in their language. It is really neat to get to watch that. And then I'm sure most of you have heard the song Gangnam Style and have seen people doing that dance. That was a song that became very popular in 2012. And the important thing about that is it became a worldwide sensation. So it wasn't just popular in Korea, it became popular all over the world. And so rather than show you that video, which I'm sure you've seen, this was just kind of a fun video of Psy, the artist, teaching Britney Spears how to do the dance, and I thought that was neat. So go ahead and pause and watch that video. And we're going to end by looking at probably the most popular K-pop artist currently, BTS. I'm sure most of you have heard of them. And again, this is an area where most of you are probably experts in this area more than I am. But this is an excellent example of how K-pop music has become globally recognized and enjoyed by people all over the world. And so if you don't know about this group, it's a 7-member boy band. They're from 2010, and recently they've become very, very popular, especially here in America. And just a quote from an article I read, they're described as easily the biggest and most successful name in K-pop in the world. So they've really made their mark and are representing K-pop music all around the world. And just to give another example here, their social influence, they've actually earned 11 Guinness World Records. So they're not just big for Korea, they're really one of the biggest groups in the world currently. And so I pulled a video that I enjoyed watching, but what I'm going to encourage you to do is if you're a fan and you want to share a video, you can actually share it in the Google Classroom post underneath so that everyone can see it, so that you can share with them. And I think that would be a cool way to share some of the music that you enjoy too. So go ahead and pause if you haven't seen this video and take a look at that. And so your job now is to go to the Google Classroom and complete the document, submit that. And again, if you have listening examples that you would like to share, go ahead and leave those in the comments to share with your classmates.